Are you an ENFP or INFP writer, or someone who fancies yourself a future copywriter, blogger, author? Well, then today you're in the right place, because I am here with Tara, who is an INFP, and myself, Dan, who's an ENFP, and we have written a lot of shit in our day.
I would say so.
A lot of it we've even been paid for. So in this discussion, and I say discussion, so we have a lot of leeway, we can kind of ramble on.
Disclaimer.
It's full disclaimer. Discussion. We are going to look at a couple things. We're going to look at why we love writing, some types of writing. I mean, if you love writing, but you've only written in school and you're thinking, like, how do I get paid? What can I do? We're going to go through some different types of writing, and we have fairly different backgrounds on the writing side. Some productivity advice, specifically for ENFPs and INFPs, and some getting paid advice. How do you actually get paid well for writing? Because a lot of people get terribly underpaid, or they just assume that writing should be this underpaid thing, which it shouldn't. It's one of the things you get paid a lot. I was getting paid well over $100 an hour my second year of copywriting, and I was living in Costa Rica while I was doing it. So it was a very nice setup, but people always come to me with this assumption that, you know, writing is very not valuable, you won't earn a lot, etc. It's that starving artist thing. So I feel like a newscaster today. If you're a fan of the channel, you know this isn't my normal tone, but like the table is just like, it's different.
I was going to make an anchor joke earlier. That's like reason.
It's like an anchor man. I've like adopted the persona now. This is what's happening. So let's get into our backgrounds. Section 1 on the show today. We're going to get into our backgrounds here. Tara, what have you written? What do you write?
Oh man, well right now I write fiction, and that is all I write. But in the past, for money, I have written a lot of SEO articles. Content marketing, I would say, is my main money-making background in writing. I've done some copywriting. I have done business writing, mostly business plans. I have done some grant writing. I've pretty much done all of the major types of writing. I've done some science writing, some like legal writing. I've done a little bit of most of the main commercial types of writing.
And it would be safe to say now you consider yourself an author. You write fiction, fantasy kind of genres.
Yes.
Myself, I am a bit more on the nonfiction side. I'd like to say sometimes I have a bit of a fictional style in how I write, but it's usually nonfiction. I started writing in grade 4. Well, I joke, but not really. So I was a copywriter first, and that was about a decade ago. So copywriting is writing basically to sell. It's writing advertisements or marketing material for companies. And my mom showed me actually a letter I had written her when I was 10, arguing for a higher allowance. And it was like a sales letter.
Nice.
It started off with the premise. It framed it. It identified her objections and then broke them down and argued why it would be beneficial to me. It was like, you might think that if you increase my allowance, I will become irresponsible. But the truth is, I will become more responsible learning how to manage money. So I guess I've always been a writer of sorts. And in school, I would get, like, half my teachers would generally hate me. This might also be an ENFP thing, or an ADHD thing. But half my teachers would not appreciate my style. Like my grade 11... I think it was grade 11 English teacher did not like me, gave me bad marks. I did not like the grammar exercises and all these things. And then my grade 12, it's like A+, was like, you're hilarious, you're like a great writer. And she looked at the style. So that was sort of the story, right? Is like some teachers, terrible marks, some not. And in terms of professional writing, I worked as a freelance copywriter for about 2 years. started at $16 an hour, retired at, I don't know, $150 an hour in that 2-year period. And I've written for myself. I published 11 books. I'd have to check the numbers, but I've sold well over 10,000 copies. I think it might even be like 30, 40,000 copies of my own books. And occasionally right now, I'm writing a new book. The first I look at Tara because we kind of have an accountability agreement. We're both going to finish a significant piece of writing, a challenge by the end of this month. I have another video on how I'm doing that and that. But it's the first one I've written in 8 years or 7 years or something. So I've kind of been rusty. I've been making videos, coaching, etc. But I also work with freelance writers and help them get started, get their first clients, figure out how to charge and all that. So I think I kind of covered why I love writing maybe in that. I think I like being funny, creative, and that. Why do you love writing? I mean, I've heard it said that writing is the worst job you have to do. Something like that.
Interesting.
Like, you can't not do it if you want to do it, but it sucks. But doesn't, yeah.
Yeah, I like writing because I like stories, fictional stories, fantasy mostly. I have always been doing some kind of storytelling for like as long as I can remember. And I find writing to be kind of a tool for my storytelling. Like sometimes I used to play with Legos and come up with these elaborate characters and stories. Or video games or whatever I could get my hands on. So eventually writing became one of those tools, and I would say the one I am most comfortable with. And yeah, I love it to explore concepts, very dark concepts often, and characters and stories.
She writes creepy shit.
Yes, I do.
One thing I'll add that I love the process of writing, actually. And I don't even mean the creative process. I mean, literally, I don't know if Lewis, you can pan to my headphones over there. It might be kind of filthy, all the equipment on the table. But I get a huge amount of enjoyment, literally, to going to a cafe, throwing on the headphones, listening to whether it's chill hop or trance music or whatever else. I actually love that feeling. And of just going out, especially at night, but in the morning too, like going out, having a coffee, or if it's the evening, having a beer, and being somewhere with all these people and just being in flow. I think writing is one of the few things that's all about getting in flow and blocking out the outside world and just being in the moment and writing. And so I've noticed that the last 3-4 weeks since I've been working on this book, that I was telling Sonia, Sonia sort of runs our company, keeps my life in order, everything else. And I was saying, like, I didn't remember how much I loved the writing. I think I want to start aiming for maybe 2 books a year again, because it's not therapeutic, but just enjoyable, like going out and writing. So I don't know, do you like the process, or is it like a means to an outcome of like, I need to tell my story?
So for me, I naturally loved the process at first. When I was younger, I loved writing just itself. It was great. I'd get into like the flow of the words and everything, and I would do it a lot. I was extremely prolific, write every single day. I would write with other people who were way better than me, which is how I got better at writing. And then I would say around college, I kind of learned to hate writing, and I became very critical of my own writing. And I was like, everything is horrible. Oh my gosh. And to some extent, I think I was becoming a better writer and becoming more aware of the flaws in my writing and that I wasn't the best writer in the world. And that was kind of hard to accept. But also, I think I just got into this space of perfectionism and everything has to be the best thing in the world. And if it's not, I don't know, I'd kind of torture myself over it. And of course, if you went to university for creative writing, you know that pretty much every single university stresses literary fiction, and a lot of them do not like genre writing, and I loved fantasy, so I would have to write stuff that I did not want to write, so that also dampened my enjoyment of it. So I had to like reteach myself how to enjoy writing again, which was an arduous process.
So your degree was actually creative writing.
Yes.
I may have known that and forgot, or maybe I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
it was like it's an English degree with like a sub specialization in creative writing.
Yeah, because I think even like I mean, psych degree, but even then it turns you off writing because you learn to add extra words. You have a 1,000-word essay that has to be 2,000 words. And then you don't know the topic because you're an ENFP with ADHD, so you forgot to write your paper, so you have like 2 hours to put it together. And so you learn to be extra wordy and vague, and you just learn to do everything the opposite of great writing.
Yeah, the
basically.
science majors just have like the worst habits they pick up with writing.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out part 2 of this 3-part conversation where you'll learn how to earn the big bucks as a writer,
Apparently people like to get paid for work they do.
Yeah.
including the most profitable types of writing projects,
Because it turns out actually finishing your work is really helpful as well.
and the clients most likely to pay you what you really deserve.
There'd be some creepy middle-aged men too. Like the middle-aged men
Bronies.
buying children's unicorn books.